The U.S. airborne forces have always been considered elite within the military, and elite units require specialized weapons and equipment, including air-droppable tanks. However, the development of air-mobile tanks faced many setbacks. The Locust performed poorly in World War II, while the Walker Bulldog was far too heavy. The M56 self-propelled gun lacked proper protection, and the T-92 wasn't amphibious. None of the mid-1950s tanks met the strict military requirements of weighing under 10 tons, providing protection against rifle-caliber rounds, being able to float, and mounting a powerful gun. Cadillac provided a solution. Lightweight aluminum armor allowed the XM551's designers to meet the weight requirement, while a 152mm gun launcher showed great promise in firepower. This weapon combined the ability to fire guided missiles at heavy armor with moderate recoil, convincing the military to proceed with the project. The new tank was designated the M551 Sheridan, named after the 19th century general Philip Sheridan. Though the tank slightly exceeded the 10-ton limit, it still met the military's key requirements. As the Army transitioned to the MBT standard, the Sheridan was classified as a reconnaissance fighting vehicle. However, in Vietnam, where it saw its first combat, the US used it as a conventional tank, not in its intended airborne role. Combat use of the M551 revealed numerous issues. The gun had a short barrel life, developing cracks after repeated firing. Crews didn't initially receive any guided missiles at all, but to be fair, in Vietnam, high explosive rounds were more than enough. Beyond the gun, the tank had other issues. Insufficient armor and an unreliable power plant. The vehicle was very vulnerable to mines, had a cramped fighting compartment. There was a long list of shortcomings, and those led to heavy losses in combat. By the end of the Vietnam War, some of the engineering flaws were resolved, but the tank was far from perfect. Still, it remained in service for 30 more years due to a lack of alternatives and the slow pace of developing a successor. The Sheridan's only real use in airborne operations came during the invasion of Panama. In most cases, it functioned more as a mobile fire support platform. Plans to upgrade the M551 with a more modern weapon system also never materialized. The Army disposed of the ill-fated tank in the late 1990s, after the end of the Cold War. By that time, there was already a promising project of a lightweight vehicle with an unmanned turret undergoing trials, and defense officials expected it to succeed. However, the M1128 Stryker turned out to be a vehicle with its own host of troubles. In War Thunder, you can find two Sheridans, at ranks 4 and 6 of the US Ground Forces tech tree. They carry different armaments. The prototype is armed with a conventional 76mm gun, while the production model is fitted with the special gun/launcher. In terms of mobility, the M551 is quite agile, but still not fast enough to consistently outrun modern MBTs. The tank has enough fire in the front to withstand machine gun fire, but is vulnerable to artillery and high explosive rounds. Among its counterparts, the Sheridan really stands out due to its size. Being only slightly smaller than the Patton, it's highly visible on the battlefield and difficult to ignore. Additionally, it cannot swim in its default configuration, as its swimming capability is provided by a special flotation screen. These two Sheridans play very differently. The production model, armed with a large cannon, is routinely engaging Cold War-era armored vehicles. Its primary targets are slow, heavily armored vehicles like the Soviet IS-4, IFVs, and anti-aircraft guns. Its anti-tank missiles and heat rounds can easily penetrate thick armor, while its high-explosive rounds make short work of lighter vehicles. As this Sheridan lacks a laser rangefinder, it's more convenient to rely on missiles at long to medium ranges, while heat shells are better for close-range engagements. They also reload significantly faster. When using the production Sheridan, caution is key. Hide the tank behind terrain features, try not to trigger aircraft with machine gun fire, and avoid dueling MBTs, as your gun takes way too long to reload to make those engagements worth it. The experimental model, armed with the same cannon as the Walker Bulldog, is quite different. The only thing it shares with the production version is its platform. It has access to sub-caliber rounds that have a decent penetration rate and are easy to use, but do limited damage. The gun of the tank reloads faster than most opponents and features a stabilizer, which is rare at its rank. Both Sheridans are best used as flankers, but the half Bulldog model can also be used in a very aggressive way. Take a position next to the main battle area, knock out a few opponents with powerful APBC shells, and then retreat. Its main drawback is limited ammunition. The Sheridan carries just 23 rounds, and it's highly advisable to take at least a few high-explosive shells. Despite its troubled history, the Sheridans of War Thunder stand out among their peers and allow for unconventional tactics on the battlefield. What's your favorite strategy for the Sheridan? Share your experiences in the comments below.